Outside the Box Reviews, we are taking a look at the NECA Predator San Diego Comic-Con 2014 exclusive Ahab Predator figure from the upcoming Dark Horse comic series Predator Fire and Stone. And every year when Comic-Con rolls around, I'm always kind of thinking, oh, I wonder what exclusives will be out. I wonder what I'm going to be picking up this year from however I can get my hands on it. But like the previous few years, I also knew that when NECA's doing exclusive Predators, I pretty much have to get my hands on them because I'm going to kick myself if I don't. Case in point, that Clear City Hunter that still eludes me, mostly for lack of wanting to pay the prices for it. But fortunately, NECA had exclusives available on their NECA Club website for people who lived in the US. I'm not sure about Canada, might have worked for that too. And I believe they're going to be doing something a little later on for people in the UK. But I ordered this on Thursday when it first went live and got it in my hands today, just a couple days later. So I couldn't have gotten this guy much quicker if I'd gone to the con myself. So let's jump right in and take a look at him. Ahab actually does come with an accessory. He comes with a spear, and this is based off the Predator 2 extendable spear design. But on this end, instead of the last two segments, it has this kind of big harpoon on it, which is really cool looking. Very sharp and fitting to the name of the character. Here in the middle, we kind of have the main piece of it. You can see a little control panel there. Very nicely sculpted as always by NECA. The rest on the back here is what we've gotten before with previous releases, but a very nice looking weapon, and the paint is beautiful. It's a nice silver. There's some black dry brushing on it and even some kind of bluish teal highlights on parts of it. Brown here in the center. They didn't paint anything on the dials or anything, but I mean, it's such a tiny little detail, but very nice looking weapon. Very happy with this. We also have his plasma caster cannon up here on his shoulder. Now, I kind of got a little flack last year with the albino Predator complaining that it didn't come with a cannon, just because it didn't really come with much of anything, but this guy has the cannon. You could swivel it on the ball joint at the top. You can hinge it forward and back, just as always. Very nicely done. Has the same kind of paint as all the armor on this figure does. It's silver with the black and the teal. Very nice, though. I mean, same cannon we've gotten all the time, but I'm just happy to have it. And of course, that does unplug from the figure, pops right off, so you don't always have to display him with it. Taking a look at the figure itself, we get a very gruesome looking biomask. I really dig this thing. Very nicely sculpted, and I've already mentioned the paint on the accessories, but the silver paint they used on this is beautiful. It has this great reflective quality. Kind of just recently reviewing some of those Terminator 2 figures. Reminds me of the T-1000. But it's very dinged up, very worn looking. There's some browns in it as well, along with the teal. It's kind of razor piranha-y looking jaw on the front. You can see the scratches going through the one eye. Then all kinds of like respiratory gizmos and stuff down here at the bottom. And with this mask, we get what a lot of people have really wanted from NECA. We actually have a removable biomask. So this will actually pop off the face of the figure, and we could have him with or without, which is really, really a nice touch. Now, I must say, having to put this on the figure is a little worrisome. Every time I go to do it, I'm so afraid I'm going to scratch the paint underneath it. So with this being a very limited release figure, just be careful. Be very careful with it. But it will come off, so you could have the unmasked head underneath. And if you look inside the biomask, it's all detailed out. Very much like the Nightstorm Predator we got in the Kenner Wave. You see the red where the eyes are, and just some really good detail in here as well. Very cool. That was a big complaint with the 2-pack with Dutch and the Predator, that there was nothing on the inside. This fixes that for sure. Very cool. And then we get his ugly, ugly face. One ugly mother. It's very cool looking. Kind of a standard Predator head on the one side. You can see his eye. His eyelid looks a little heavy, like it's kind of drooping in front of his eyes. It makes it kind of hard to see the eyeball itself, but it's definitely in there, well painted. He's got his closed mouth up here, missing one of the mandibles, so kind of similar to Wolf Predator. And then of course we have the scarred up missing eye. Now this actually reminds me a lot of the Cenobites from Hellraiser, particularly Chatterer, but very grisly looking, very cool though. So I love the paint colors on him. He has kind of a peachy flesh tone, fading into some brown. Of course, the black spots all over. The yellow teeth are a nice touch with the black dry brushing on it. You come around the back, he's got very, very long dreads, very little jewelry in the dreads also. And then we come back, and I think we got this previously with the Shaman Predator, but he does have the grouping of them kind of braided together in the back, which is a nice touch. Unfortunately, the head on mine is very loose. I've had this problem on a few recent Predators, but I'm sure if I kind of heated up the head a little bit, I could get that to pop right back in, nice and tight. Around his neck, he has a unique trophy skull. It has a black cord, and you can see this kind of fanged, tusked creature's head hanging around his neck. Once again, very nicely detailed, just tons of paint shading in the bone. Turn it over, you see the yellow teeth. There's actually like 2 rows of teeth in there. Very, very nicely done. From here, of course, it gets a little boring. We just have the standard Predator body, the Lost Tribe body, the netting's on there. It's not painted perfectly, but it's okay. It's got the standard armor. Once again, the same colors into the teals and the blacks with a nice silver pauldron on his arm. This extends down a little further, which looks pretty nice. He's got the cable at the elbow. Let's see, his wrist computer is well done. Some browns in there as well. He's got the standard kind of City Hunter style hands with a little dew claw on the side. This hand is open just a little bit, kind of like you'd have a throwing disc or something. His other hand is open much more, so you could hold that staff, which I really like. We're here, of course, he has the extendable blades. Mine are a little fanned out, a little bent outwards. I could probably fix that pretty easily as well. But as usual, they will extend out, and you have him ready to gut something. Now, one weird thing I noticed is they actually painted, and it's going away now that I've messed with the articulation, but inside the seam of his arm, instead of painting it like the flesh tone, it was actually painted the silver of the gauntlet. A kind of weird choice, but now that the paint's chipping away, there's just a very light colored plastic in there. Coming down, he has a standard loincloth, once again keeping the same colors of the rest of the armor. It's a very dark brown loincloth. Around with the butt flaps. This is more Jungle Hunter style than the City Hunter. Standard armor down the sides. He's got his knee pads. And he has Predator feet down here. So very standard from the neck down, but overall just pretty impressive in terms of the paint detailing, if nothing else. For articulation, pretty standard. We have the ball joint at the neck, so you can look up and down, side to side. Of course, mine's popping off, so it's a little over-exaggerated. Is a pin socket at the shoulder. They can only go up so far because of the armor being very bulky, but they can rotate forward and back. Of course, these tubes I love because they give you so much extra play than some of the older style NECA Predators. You have a bend and swivel at the elbow. We have a ball joint at the wrist, cut joint at the waist, pin socket joints at the legs and go forward and back, out to the side very easily, swivel at the upper leg as well, double jointed at the knee, and a ball joint at the ankle. And overall, I think this is a fantastic figure. Now, not knowing anything about the comic book he's from, I guess nobody really does at this point, I can't speak much to the character itself. It could be overall very disappointing, but this was a very unique looking Predator, and even though, as I said, the body is very stock standard, they gave us a very unique head that we can kind of display 2 different ways. We have a very large trophy around his neck, which basically covers his whole torso, giving it a different look. A very cool, unique weapon, and the paint on it is just overall very, very well done. And all of that together makes for a fantastic figure. I was disappointed last year with NECA's Comic-Con Predator because I felt it was lacking. It was a reused body with a slightly different shoulder armor and a new paint job. That's all it had. And this thing basically makes up in my mind for last year's lackluster figure. This thing is everything an exclusive should be. He's about as packed full of accessories as a Predator figure ever has been. I'm sure I'll be proven wrong once that deluxe Bad Blood Predator comes out in a couple weeks, but that's a different story. But overall, I almost feel as I am a loss for words. I cannot express how cool I think this figure is and how much I've enjoyed it just in the few hours I've had since it arrived in the mail to play with it. Fantastic job on NECA's part. High recommendation. Unfortunately, by the time I'm recommending this, unless you're at Comic-Con, you're probably not going to be able to pick one up easily. You probably have to resort to eBay or Amazon or basically pay an inflated price. And that sucks because I think any Predator fan who's loved the line like I have is gonna really want this. But then again, if you're as obsessed with this line as I am, you probably are right there with me trying to order it off NECA Club, so you probably have one in your hands already. But if you didn't do it, if you were waiting, don't wait too long. Definitely snag one of these guys. high recommend. Make sure you check me out on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also check me out on Facebook, link below. And until next time, this has been another Outside the Box Reviews. Stay tuned for more to come.